Hi, it's Kristen. It is June, it is Pride Month, so I thought I would do a Pride themed reading vlog. So I did this last year, and what I did was just read books that had LGBTQ plus characters. So I had a look at my shelves, pulled off a few that I know have LGBTQ characters and that I am excited about reading. And yeah, I've got three here, which I'm gonna go through now. So the first one I want to read is The Miseducation of Cameron Post. This one is about a young girl whose parents pass away, and obviously she's incredibly sad and grieving, but there's a tiny part of her that's relieved because they will never have to know that just a few hours earlier she and her best friend, who is also a girl, were kissing, and that is not something that they should have been doing. I watched the movie of this last year and really enjoyed it. It does deal with like conversion therapy, a conversion camp. So it's definitely not going to be a light read, but I thought the cover was really summery. It's lovely weather at the moment, and obviously the characters, well, the main character is a lesbian, and then she meets other queer characters at the conversion camp, and the side of the book is perfect for Pride. So yes, I've had this on my shelf since last year, but I've been meaning to read it for years. Like it's been on my wish list for years, and I finally got around to buying it last year, so I'm excited to get to it. Next up we have This Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This you've probably heard of. It's huge on BookTube. It basically covers the Greek hero myth of Patroclus and Achilles. So I honestly don't really know anything about it other than that everyone loves Achilles and Patroclus. And I'm not super like well versed on the actual myth either, so I kind of like that I'm going in with no prior knowledge, but I've always loved like Greek myth stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to read a like beloved BookTube favourite. And then finally, I'm going to attempt to read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This one has been on my TBR since last summer. I bought it at the same time that I bought The Miseducation of Cameron Post. This one just sounded so cute. I anticipated this coming out for ages and then bought it as soon as it was released in the UK. So this is about a girl who runs for prom queen because there is like a scholarship attached to prom queen. So she decides to run, and she meets this girl and really likes her, but then it turns out that the girl that she likes is also running for prom queen. So I thought that just sounded really cute. I love young adult contemporaries, but I haven't honestly read many young adult contemporaries that feature LGBT characters, so that's definitely something that I want to do more, and I thought that this would be a great place to start. This just looks like such a fun, bright, vibrant cover, and I'm really excited to get into this one. So yes, those are the three books I'm going to attempt to read in this vlog. My book collection of books that feature LGBT characters and themes and are by LGBT authors has grown in the past couple of years, which I'm really glad about, but I think I still could be aiming to read more books that contain those elements. So I'm thinking if I can get through these, get them off my TBR, and onto my proper bookshelf, I might treat myself and buy a few more books that have LGBTQ plus themes, because I'm always on the lookout for more queer literature. So yes, I will update you and let you know what I think of these throughout the month. So the first book I'm going to read is going to be inspired by the current weather outside, which is very sunny and lovely. I'm going to read The Miseducation of Cameron Post, purely because this cover is also very summery. That's what formed this decision. So yeah, going with the vibe of the weather, we're going to do this one. This is beautiful. I've wanted to read this one for years, and I just never got round to purchasing it previously, but I bought it last summer, and thought that Pride Month is the perfect time to dive into it. So yeah, let's go. So I went outside and I did some reading, but it was so hot and there was like no breeze, so it was just sun and heat, and I was just boiling. So I've come inside and I'm gonna have an ice pop, and I'm gonna find some reading sprints, I think, and follow along one of those, because I've been finding reading sprints really motivating, and I've been enjoying them. So yeah, I'm gonna have ice pop, reading sprints, read. Might take a break from reading at some point and watch an episode of Project Runway. Those are my plans. Very exciting. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying this one so far. I think I mentioned before that I watched the movie last year, but I do find it interesting that the movie starts with like the big thing that happens, with Cameron's aunt taking her to the Christian camp, which essentially is a conversion camp. But I'm just over 100 pages in and that hasn't happened yet. And actually in the beginning we get all this sort of backstory of different encounters that Cameron has had as a child, sort of teen, sort of discovering her sexuality through different like close friendships with girls, and you don't get that in the movie. So I've not even reached the point in the book where the movie starts, so I like that in terms of I'm getting like extra story, and I always think it's really interesting and quite sweet to see children and teens discovering themselves, like in general, but I think it's also really important to get that perspective from LGBT children. So I think so far this has done a great job at expressing like Cameron's different thoughts and feelings about herself and others, and her struggling with the fact that her family were Christian and now her aunt, who's very religious, has moved in with them, and so she's going to this church that's very anti-abortion, anti-homosexuality, and so she's constantly being told by her aunt and like pastors and the other kids at that like Sunday school that she's going to, that like homosexuality is a sin and stuff, whilst having this secret to herself. So it's quite intense, and yeah, it makes me quite sad reading her, having to deal with those conflicting thoughts and feelings. So I don't know, I can necessarily say like I'm enjoying it in that aspect, but I am liking it so far. And I definitely am glad I'm reading it like now, because it's very summery. I think the vibe of it and the descriptions of like hot fields and swimming in the lake and stuff is like perfect for this time of year. So if you want like a summery feeling book that tackles more important issues and has LGBTQ themes, this one I would recommend so far. Again, I'm only like at just over 100 pages in, but I'm enjoying it so far. Also, I got a haircut and I don't know how I feel about it. I had nothing taken off the links, but I had layers, and I don't love it. Anyway, that's just a side note. I don't know. So I've finally reached the point in the book that is where the movie starts, and I'm like halfway through, on like part 3, which I find interesting. I get why they started the movie where they started, and they sort of just use flashbacks in the movie, like interspersed here and there, short flashbacks to give more background to Cameron's story, whereas in here it's for the most part told like chronologically, and we get a lot of insight into Cameron's thoughts and feelings, and stuff. And I think it works well this way for the book, but I don't think that the film is any worse for starting where it starts. I think they both stand alone but as the same story quite well. I'm really liking the book so far. I really feel for Cameron as a character. It's becoming a tough read. Not that the beginning was like fun, because it starts with like her parents' death essentially, but she's just going through a lot. She's got a lot of inner turmoil about her sexuality and how people are reacting to her and trying not to be found out, and having to deal with like her feelings for girls and their feelings or responses to her, and yeah, it's just I really feel for her as a character. I think the way that Emily and Danforth writes teenagers is quite relatable, because I think the characters are all very act as if they're really mature and grown up, which I definitely think a lot of teenagers think they are when they're young, but they're also quite like messy and dramatic. Yeah, and I think she captures the feeling of like having a crush and the like tension and the excitement over having a crush really believably. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm at the point now where there's there's a big change to Cameron's circumstances and sort of where she's at. And I'm waiting for it to get a lot more, even more emotional and hard for Cameron, which is going to be a tough read, but I am liking the book. I think it's well written, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah, so I'm watching a live sprint at the moment, so I'm gonna get back to that, join in with the reading sprint. And yeah, hoping I can finish this in the next couple of days. Just finished the Miseducation Cameron post, and I really liked this one. I thought the story, while slow, was compelling and interesting, and I really liked Cameron and her friends, Jane and Adam, as characters, and I thought Cameron had a compelling, like, inner voice to carry the story. Yeah, if you want more like introspective queer stories that deal with difficult, hard topics like grief and struggling with identity, and I mean, this one is, yeah, set at a conversion camp for like the third part of it, so there's a lot of homophobia in this one, but I thought it had some really nuanced conversations and really showed the struggles that these teenagers are going through. So I really enjoyed this one. So now I need to pick my next book. So I'm going away for tonight. Going to see my granddad for his 90th birthday. We're doing like an outside thing in his garden, obviously following COVID guidelines, but we're staying in a hotel tonight, again following government guidelines. So I'm going to take, I think, The Song of Achilles with me, because there's going to be a little bit of downtime because we're going to get there around 5 p.m. I think, and then we're going to have to, kill time that evening, and then depending on how early I wake up the next morning, maybe I'll have time to kill then as well, which is where I will read. So yeah, this one has so much hype around it that I'm almost scared to start it because I'm worried I won't like it as much as everyone else does, but I'm also intrigued. So yes, Song of Achilles next. So here's the thing. Today is the 1st of July, so Pride Month is over, and I'm only like 100 pages in to The Song of Achilles. But here's my thought. Not that obviously I would ever stop reading like LGBT books just because Pride Month's over. Not going to read any of those books anymore. That's ridiculous. But for some consistency to the theme of this video, just to have like a running theme still, and some, what's the word? Something still connecting everything. Because I was really busy at the end of June, I didn't have a chance to read that much, so I didn't finish the books I wanted to read for my Pride reading vlog. But I'm going to continue the vlog because in Bristol, which is where I live, where I'm from, we normally have our like big Pride Day celebration about the second week into July, normally like whatever date that Saturday is our Pride march and like big sort of party in the park kind of thing. That didn't happen last year, obviously because of COVID, and it's not happening this year either until later in the year. So what they're doing instead is smaller scale events over a period of days and making it into a Pride festival from the 3rd of July, Saturday the 3rd, which is this Saturday, and that is going to run for about 2 weeks, I think until the 16th of July, which I think is great. So I'm going to extend my Pride vlog until the end of the Bristol Pride Festival sort of timeline, because I wanted to put this vlog up still, but I didn't want it to be me reading 1.5 books over the course of June. I wanted to include all the books that I talked about in my initial goals that you saw at the beginning of this video. So yeah, essentially I want to extend it to the point where Pride celebrations where I live in, like my community, are like ending on a big scale. I think it's really important that we don't just obviously support the LGBT community or talk about Pride in a positive light in like a celebratory way only when Pride month or Pride celebrations are going on. Obviously Pride isn't always a thing, but just for the purposes of this video I'm going to do it until the 16th of July, so that I can have like a definitive beginning and end to this vlog that isn't just abrupt and unsatisfying. So that's the plan. Now I need to actually get on board with reading and not get distracted and set aside time to read these books, because I am really excited about the books that I am currently reading and that I want to read for this vlog. So yes, just an update to let you know that whilst Pride Month is over, I'm still very much continuing in the vein of celebrating Pride through a more community-based thing. We also, sorry, side note, in Bristol we just got a like rainbow road crossing with the Pride flag, with the stripes of like all the colours including the brown and black and trans flag stripe, which is really cool. Anyway, tangent over. I will get back to actually reading. So the other night I finished reading The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I stayed up past my usual bedtime in order to finish it because I was so close to the end and I needed to read it. It was very action-packed towards the end. The action definitely picks up. I can see why, if you're not a fan of like action and fighting and like war strategy kind of stuff, you wouldn't like the second half of this as much as the first half, because the first half is very much more character driven in their interactions with each other, with Achilles and Patroclus, and them growing up and their relationship forming and changing. And I feel like the first part of the book is a lot quieter and slow, and the second half is more action, fighting, that kind of stuff. I'm a fan of a character-driven slow story, and I also quite like fighting war with like swords and spears and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really liked this one. I liked the whole of it.
I always find it interesting reading like contemporary YA that's set in America and has to do with stuff like school dances, in this case like prom, because prom is just like not really a thing here. And I know that in this book she makes a point that their town takes prom like way more seriously than other towns do, so this is like an exaggerated circumstance, because they offer like a scholarship with their prom and it's like a very big thing. But you know, stuff like that in general, like prom, homecoming, etc., just like aren't really a thing in the UK. When I finished year 11 10 years ago, we had like an end of school thing at like a hotel event room where we had like a DJ and we had some food and we had like a sort of fancier version of a disco. And then when I finished sixth form, we had a summer ball, again at like some event room at the zoo actually, where we again had a DJ, had some food, and just had like an exaggerated party. But yeah, prom and like having a prom king and a prom queen and that kind of stuff, just yeah, never had that experience. Don't really do that over here. I find that whole concept of like prom king, prom queen, like homecoming king, homecoming queen, really weird, because it's like you're just making children, teenagers, compete with each other over like who's the most popular, essentially. I don't know, I just find that weird. But I'm having fun with this. I'm nearly halfway through. It's reading really quickly, which I find a lot of young adult contemporary does. But I like Liz as a main character. I think she's fun. I think she's relatable. I'm not super hooked on any of the side characters particularly, but I've still got just over half the book to go, and I'm enjoying it. I just finished, like literally just, You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I liked this one a lot. I thought it was very cute. I really liked the progression of Liz's character, and her like growth and her coming into her own and realizing she needed to stand up for herself and have confidence and push back on certain things and do things her way. I really liked that general coming of age element. I know I said before that the side characters I didn't really feel connected to. That changed. I did grow to like some of them. I really liked Jordan, who is Liz's like ex-best friend, who she ends up spending a lot of time with because he's running for prom king. I really liked him, and I liked, although she wasn't in it a whole lot, I liked the moments we saw of a character called Quinn, who's like one of the popular girls who's also running for prom queen. Yeah, I liked her a lot as well. Some of the other characters I never fully connected with, but overall
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very cute, very sweet, fun, but also had some deeper moments. And there's obviously like bits of discussion about race and how Liz is not as well off as a lot of her friends and classmates, and conversations about being queer and homophobia and stuff like that. I will give like a bit of a trigger warning. There is a scene where a couple of characters, well, there's a moment where there's like an outing of a queer character, which I know it's something that could be distressing, so I just wanted to give that warning. Also, trigger warnings for death of a parent, because Liz's mum has previously passed away due to having sickle cell disease, and her brother also has it, so there's conversation around that and like medical treatment and hospitals and stuff, just as a content warning. There were moments in this that I thought were a little bit too, I want to say like over dramatic, but then I think that could be justified because they're teenagers, and I just think like when you're a teenager you can like over dramatize things, so I would give it a pass. But there are some moments where it's like something happens and then it's described as like, and then everyone applauded and it's just a little bit cliche, but not in a way that made me go like roll my eyes. But I think it gets away with it because it's just a fun contemporary with such like an over the top prom premise. So I will like, I think if you just go along with it, it's good fun. But yeah, I think it's a really great book with the kind of character that often doesn't get center focus. You know, on the blurb, she's, you know, in the synopsis, Liz is described as she's always believed she's too black, too poor, too awkward to shine. So yeah, having a young black queer protagonist, I think, is amazing. And I know that Leah Johnson's got another book out, which is about two girls, I believe, like making connection, probably falling in love during a music festival, and I think that sounds like a really fun premise as well. I would definitely read more from Leah Johnson. I think this is probably, for me, one that I would reread if I wanted a cute, quick, contemporary, because I read it quite quickly. I think I would give this like a 3.5, 3.75. But yeah, if you like contemporary, sort of exaggerated plots that it is like completely real world, but just like a massive prom competition, for me at least, was kind of out there, but maybe not if you're an American reader, I don't know. But yeah, if you like contemporary, you like young adult, you like books with queer romances, you like coming of age, then I would definitely recommend picking this one up, because yeah, it was quick, it was fun, I was invested. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there for this Pride reading vlog.
I read 2 books that I've had on my TBR for a year. I bought them last summer and I finally got around to reading them, so I'm happy with that. And I read a book that I've had on my TBR for even longer than that, which is great, and I really enjoyed all of these books. We had a 3.5, 3.75, a 4-star, and another 4-star, which is great. And we had some variety because we had a cute, fun contemporary with some heavier topics. We had a heavier contemporary with some sweet moments, and then we had a fantasy mythological book as well. So there was some variety in themes, but overall really enjoyed all of them, would reread all of them, and would recommend all of them. So an excellent reading month, slightly longer than a month, but Pride kind of time. I'm also very excited because within this month I bought myself some new books that are by queer authors, have queer characters, deal with LGBTQ plus themes and elements. So I'm very excited to get to all of those, hopefully sooner rather than later. And yeah, just really looking forward to building up my collection with more queer reads, which is something I'm definitely aiming to do. Slowly getting there. There's some really great queer reads coming out within this year and next year that I'm already eyeing up for when they're released. But just now I will say thank you for watching, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!